Hi, everybody. Welcome to Dr. Cammy and Karen Go Keto. We're delighted to be with you today to have you learn a little bit about me as I read my goodbye letter to you, saying goodbye to sugar and my binges. This is something that's recommended through Mike Collins and his work with the sugaraddiction.com people. Um, you talk about your why and you say a goodbye letter to the sugar. So I'm going to read this letter to you. It's a couple of minutes long and it's going to help you learn a little bit more about me and what sugar has done for me in my life. Do you have anything you want to say, Karen, before I start reading?
No, I'm looking forward to hearing about it, and maybe we can have just a little bit of discussion after you're done reading.
Okay, that sounds great. Okay, goodbye to Sugar and Benja's letter. Dear Sugar and Binge Behavior, I have loved you for as long as I can remember, many decades, and for decades you loved me back with unconditional love, soothing, and comfort, especially after the loss of my second son. Always dependable 100% of the time, I could trust you explicitly to help me out of reality during unfathomable times and circumstances. Horrible, terrible times when I wanted to die so badly and my life was so incredibly painful. You would come to my rescue, bringing me warm sensations, incredibly delightful tastes, and the gumption to continue on with life. I had a whole ritual with you, which was intimate and steadfast. But I need to say goodbye now, forever. For, you see, you have left me with an incredible mess to clean up, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, but especially physically. Fatty liver and enlarged liver, insulin resistance, inflammation, metabolic syndrome, and extreme obesity are my current conditions to tackle. Messy, unsafe, and dangerous for my survival. I am so grateful for you being there for me always when I would run to you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You were truly instrumental in helping me survive back then, and ironically, could have been so closely tied to my demise decades later. I can no longer love and appreciate your effects on me. I am beginning a wonderful physical healing and have already been working on emotional and spiritual growth. All my love, Cammy.
All right.
Yay!
So,
I
so
will miss you.
you said
Not
goodbye
really.
to sugar. You said goodbye to binging habits. Um, two points that I hear in that letter, and one thing that I would request. Can you say goodbye specifically to those items that really influence your binges? Like, I know, can you say goodbye Skittles? No more Skittles.
Yes, I can
Good
say goodbye.
goodbye ice cream. All right, so give me a goodbye to the list of your most nefarious actors.
Um, Cakes, like lemon cake, lemon
All right,
loaf cakes.
say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye what?
Goodbye muffins.
Okay.
Goodbye bagels. Goodbye fast food. Um, Goodbye candy bars. Goodbye ice cream. Goodbye Skittles. Goodbye blow pops. Goodbye. Um, I'm trying to think the other things I would eat. Goodbye, insane, incredible, massive input of food at one time. And
So
hello to so many other wonderful things, by the way. Hello.
yeah, and the other thing is there's a ritual to these binges, and not just yours, my own. You know, my little ritual for the chocolate malt was not just the wonderful I actually don't want to name it here because I don't want it to trigger anybody. But the community that I got, knowing that when I ordered my order, they always knew who I was. One time I ordered it and they said, "Oh, you're a little late today, aren't you?" Because apparently it was later in the evening. So there is a comfort to know that when you go to the gas station and you buy your Skittles, it's like you have community. There's a person there that's taking care of you, even if it's a stranger. It is a feeling of, I'm still part of this world, and this is what I'm doing to get me through.
The guy at the 7-Eleven.
Yeah. So goodbye, guy at the 7-Eleven, unless you're just buying toilet paper. But that's the habit and the ritual. I mean, that is a little bit of the draw, right? You get to feel comfortable until you start to feel very uncomfortable.
Yes.
Until that sugar hits.
Yes.
Until you really get that hit. And then you said something in your letter about you left me in a mess to clean up. But it sounded like sugar got you there all by yourself. And I think that you need to clean up some of your own mess too. Or you know what I mean? It's like,
right. I guess the better way to word it would have said my actions.
Yeah. So, and you didn't mention the past. Look at your knee replacement surgery, right? I mean, if it hadn't been for sugar, you wouldn't have had to have the knee replacement surgery. Do you agree with that or no?
Well, I mean, it is closely tied with my obesity. I'm not quite sure how that would pan out because I had years and years of gymnastics too. And,
right.
lots of wear and tear on my knees as a younger person.
Yeah. Okay. So, goodbye, sugar. So we're going to title this Goodbye Sugar. And that way, Cammy, whenever you need it, you can come back to this video and hear yourself say goodbye.
That sounds perfect. And the other thing that I'd like to say, so I can come back and hear myself say this, is that this is a long time coming. It's taken a long time to be able to say goodbye. And I want to be sure that I understand how much time, energy, and effort and work I've put into it. Because I was the last binge I had, I can't remember the date of it. The last binge I had worked so hard to get to where I was. And, then in one day of binging, it sets me back. And I've realized it sets me back like 7 to 10 days, just to get to where I was. And so it's just, and in the meantime, I know that that's such a frustrating way for me to live. This was on December 22nd. So yeah, looking forward to sayonara.
And my request for 2024 of you is to maybe recast the phraseology of binge, right? So maybe we can say what your behavior is no longer a binge unless it's that true, 4 or 5, 6 different kinds of foods where you eat them until you're full and, in your sugar coma. I think if it's just a half a cookie and a piece of cake and, a handful of Hershey's Kisses, I wouldn't call that a binge because I think that's giving the binge more power over you because then in your mind, you may say, oh, I'm binging. I'm just going to keep going. Right. When a half a cookie and a piece of cake is not a binge.
Okay. So we could just call that off-plan eating.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. I think that's true. And, yeah, that sounds good. And accountability too. I am accountable to Jeff, my nutrition and exercise coach right now. I'm completely 100% accountable to him. I had a discussion with him because I was telling him what I was eating, but I wasn't telling him completely everything I was eating. So I wasn't necessarily lying to him because I wasn't lying to him about what I was eating. I just wasn't being completely honest with the truth. And there's no integrity with that. So I had a conversation with him, and now I'm 100% accountable. And that feels good. It's a challenge. It's a challenge to be sure, but it feels really good.
And one more thing that I would like to add, and that is, you said, it sets you back 7 days when you binge. It sets you back health wise, back to getting on your plan, getting into ketosis, getting the cravings out, and all that can take you up to 7 days to get it to get
Longer
back.
sometimes.
Yeah. And I just want to point out that what I went through when my husband died, when he was in the hospital, he basically lived from the time of diagnosis to the time that he died. It was 9 weeks. 9 weeks exactly. So when you talk to me about the power of a week, those weeks matter, so to know that if you can keep out those weeks, and if there's power to it, your life can be longer and better.
And the other thing that so another eating off plan, which was quite excessive, that I did was after I weighed in with Jeff, and it was either to reward myself or punish myself, and I don't want to look at it that way. So I had a conversation with him about eating something on my plan after I weighed in that would be something that would be a little special to me. And what I decided that would be is some low carb bread, a grilled cheese sandwich with low carb bread. And that's something that I'm looking forward to the next time that I weigh in. And it's going to be on my plan. And I'm not going to be excessive carbs that day. And I'll be sure to do some good exercise. So I'm really looking forward to that grilled cheese sandwich, but also to having integrity about my word. That's important to me.
Yeah. And I think that that's a good choice, because, choosing something that does not have an overt sweet flavor to you, I think will keep any triggers at bay.
Amen.
All right, my friend, this is it for 2023. And let's say hello to 2024, maybe even tomorrow.
Sounds great. All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.